mom came into the room and she's like, look at my phone. And then I couldn't see it, so I had to look at mine. I'm like, oh.
I can't bet against Tom Brady. I have the Bucks winning 31-27 and Tom Brady going to his 10th championship.
Yeah, and I really think the Clippers' chance to win the championship was last year. And they were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets.
Chris Paul is one of the most underrated players of all time. He's been the best player wherever he goes, and that includes with the Rockets.
You said you can't bet against Tom Brady, and as a Cowboys fan and what I just did last weekend, I am not going to bet against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. I mean, that's all I can really say. There's two of the top 5 players in the league, and they're very, very good.
Hello, I'm Taylor Hearn, and you listen to the Outsiders' Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NHL Opinions of the Week. The NHL season has come to an end with the Panthers keeping the Stanley Cup as they won Game 6, dominated. I would say, Austin, they dominated the last 2 games of the series.
As I dropped my phone.
You're good.
Yes, I completely agree. The first 4 games of this series were very, very entertaining and close, besides Game 3. But Florida dominated, especially Game 6 and Game 5 and Game 3. 3 of the 4 games that Florida won, they utterly dominated. I saw a stat that the Oilers only led 34 minutes all series. And that's, I think, a testament to how dominant Florida's been all playoffs. I do think the Brad Marchand trade was huge in this series for Florida, but also Sam Bennett, Sam Reinhart, Matthew Tkachuk, Bobrovsky was amazing. Yeah, Sasha Barkov was amazing.
Defensive end.
Yeah, there's just a lot of guys that really did come through. And, I mean, everyone wants to ask the question regarding Dynasty. Again, I think you have to win 3. Well, it's tough because they've been to 2 out of 3. They've won 2 out of 3. And they went to that one that they lost, obviously, against Vegas. So it's tough to say.
I think the most recent dynasty you and I both agreed was the Tampa Bay Lightning when they've won 3 in this.
Well, it's a very no. They've won 2. Well, they've won 3, but the third one that they won was in 2004.
Okay, I thought it went 2020.
Yeah, but they lost in 22 to the Avalanche.
They won 2020, 21, then 22. But weren't they in? No. Okay, maybe they weren't a dynasty. No, yeah, they weren't a dynasty. Because, yeah, you have to win 3 in 5 years, to me. So, yeah we've had a discussion. It's 3 in 5 years.
Yeah, I think if Florida were to make another one, they would be a dynasty. I think you can win. It depends on how many Stanley Cups or championship you end up in. But I think if you make 4 and win 2, you're a dynasty, aka the Heat.
I remember we had this conversation. I think I'm on 3, but since they made it, you at least
make 4 finals, though. I think that is something that not even teams that win 3 straight can say they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I do think it also, like, for example, like if you're looking at, like, the Bulls, right? They won 3 straight, then obviously lost 2. One of them, Jordan was out. One of them, Jordan only played like less than half the season and came back. But, like, you could look at it, like, some of those years. I mean, they always won 3 out of 5 during that stretch because they won 3, lost 2, then won 3. So there was always in 5. But I think the more you win, the longer the time period goes. But that's why I say, like, if you go in 4 straight and win 2 of them, it's a lot different than, like, if you're the Kings, for example, because the Kings in
are you thinking of
2012, they won, then lost in the conference final to the Blackhawks in 2013, and then won in 2014. I don't consider that a dynasty, even though they won 2 out of 3 years. And that's the same way I kind of look at Tampa and Florida, in my opinion. Now, I can see how someone would say that they are a dynasty, but I don't think I would agree with that. I think the only real dynasties that I've experienced in hockey are the Blackhawks, because they won in 2010, then 2013, then 2015. So I think that's 3 and 6 years, but I still think that's a dynasty. I think 3 and 6 is where I draw the line. That's still 50%, and you've won 3. And they only went to 3, but they won 3. But I think if you've only won 2, I think you have to go to 4 titles.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. They're not a dynasty yet. They're on the verge of a dynasty, but we said the same thing with Tampa. And it really is impressive because I know I focus a lot on Kachuk, and he played well, but to me, it really signals kind of the aggressiveness from Bill Zito, which I didn't realize. I thought he'd been there a while. He's only been there 5 years. He was hired in 2020.
Yeah, they've basically been good ever since he's gotten there. And they went from like bad to really good really quickly.
Yeah, and the thing that really surprised me is that decision to trade Jonathan Huberdeau after they had just set the record of, I think, best team, and like he was a leading goal scorer, and they traded him.
Record, but they were the best team in the NHL that year. They were the President's Trophy winner.
Because I know Tampa Bay set the record. I thought Florida set the record, then Boston set the record.
Just Tampa.
Okay, just Tampa.
And then obviously Boston. But
yeah.
Tampa set the record for the most wins in the season, tied it, but didn't get the most points. And then Boston broke the record for the most points in the season.
Yeah, okay. But still President's Trophy winner, and then you trade one of your top players for Kachuk. And the way it took a little bit, but you've been to 3 straight finals with Kachuk as part of the team.
Yeah.
Which is very minimal, which is boiling it down. Like, Kachuk is not the only piece, because a lot of their pieces, you mentioned Marchand, he was incredible in, it would be game 5 with just those starts, his goals.
He started game 5. But I think more of like his game winners. He also had a big game 4, I think, as well.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of, where he just beat everyone to the puck off the face-off.
Yeah, I think the face-off one you're thinking of was game 5.
Okay, yeah. And that's what I meant start, but he just was ready. But yeah, he had some critical game winners. It was really just a whole team effort. You had Seth Jones playing big minutes, but Marchand as well were just some key pieces that they made for this year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's not just Kachuk, but to me, that kind of brought a mentality. And then you have Paul Maurice, which I think I'm a little bit unclear on when he became coach, because he wasn't the interim coach for the Panthers, or was he? Because the Panthers after that had that record season, but I think they had an interim coach because one of the coaches was connected to the Blackhawks scandal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember this?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I thought the interim.
Oh, yeah. Joel Quenneville was the coach of the Panthers before.
Yeah, and then so he doesn't keep the job. It's Paul Maurice, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of another thing, because you usually see with an interim coach like that. And Paul Maurice is a guy who was kind of in the Pete DeBoer section of he just can't win the big one. But now he has back-to-back and made 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals trips.
Good point.
So it's really impressive, I would say, from the Panthers. And I was shocked they dominated. Yeah, because I would start doing stuff once they went up by a few goals in game 5 and game 6.
Yeah. I mean, I kudos to them. They were amazing in this in these playoffs, and you won the challenge, I'm pretty sure, because didn't you have Florida winning?
I think I had Edmonton winning.
Yeah,
I had Florida and Edmonton again, I'm pretty sure. But,
I remember that, but I didn't remember if you had
no, I think I had
Florida
him going
winning or
back.
not.
But yeah, we can double check. But yeah, overall, I'm curious how you're feeling kind of with Marchand, and I know I've asked you multiple times, but
It's on Don Sweeney, and I'm extremely disappointed in how it was handled. But that's not for Marchand to play bad or anything. It's just I don't know what Don Sweeney is doing. So
yeah, and then another thing, you have the Corey Perry curse again.
yeah, and Corey Perry played absolutely amazing in these playoffs. Kudos to him. I think he still has enough to come back next year. We'll see, obviously, what he decides to do, but whatever he does decide to do, I think the Oilers would want him back. He was not a problem for them. He was definitely a part of the positives for them, not just his playoffs, but his entire season.
Yeah, so overall, I would say exciting, and yeah, I'm very interested because I know Seth Jones is under contract, but Marchand's going to hit the open market. How does Florida rebuild this team again if they want to compete for? They would be going to their fourth straight Stanley Cup final if they. I don't know how they could do that.
I mean, it's possible. Teams have done it before. I remember I don't remember it, but I know that it happened. Is the early '80s Islanders who won 4 straight, but it's going to take a lot. But they have the guys to do it, and I think bringing back Marchand would be a huge part of that. But it's obviously going to come down to whether or not they're going to stay healthy and have that fire that Florida teams always have.
Yeah, and it really is a fire, and you could just see it from the ice. So yeah, that's all we have. Let us know your thoughts in the comments about the Stanley Cup final. Really great treat and just a back-to-back champion. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.